A bombshell poll has put a new Corbyn-Sultana party even with Labour. Reform way ahead with 34%, the Tories regained second with 17%, and then Labour and this new left party are even Stevens with 15%. Notice a big drop in support for the Greens. But it's not just this poll. There's other ones that show support for this new left party. So here you can see the JCZS party on 8%, the first poll that included them. Now, polls are polls, right? We are far away from a general election, but it doesn't mean polls are worthless. Now, many of the commentariat have weighed in, accusing the party of being splitters. We haven't heard from Paul Mason in a while, but anytime he can punch left, he takes that opportunity. Corbyn-Sultana and the Let Nigel Win party. Even Lord Kinnock called it the Farage Assistance Group. I mean, have they not been paying attention, right? Reform has consistently topped the polls before this new left party was even on the scene. But in any case, this is Labour's fault. Need I remind them of this clip?
If you don't like that, if you don't like the changes that we've made, I say the door is open and you can leave.
So that is Keir Starmer telling the left of the party to leave. And guess what? They did. You reap what you sow. Nuffle, what do you make of these polls? I mean, do you think they're just outliers? Or is this something that we should take seriously? And what does this mean for the Green Party?
Well, I think what's really interesting here is the whole talk of splitting the vote amongst the left. Because the truth is, letting Farage in would not be the fault of Corbyn or Sultana being completely alienated from the Labour Party. It would be the fault of the Labour Party for purging left-wingers, and it would be the fault of the Labour Party for not focusing on economic issues. Now, like you said, it's quite early to say. We can't say for sure what this will be looking like in a couple of years' time. We can't also be sure of how this will eat into the Greens' vote. But I think what is promising is the fact that Zach Polanski, along with Corbyn, have talked about possible alliances. And I think that's really important. Because although Zach Polanski under the Green Party could see a massive populist shift, the main issue will be getting that vote in urban areas. Now, we know Corbyn has already had success before with momentum, of course, mobilising a lot of young people, and that's what we're seeing with these polls. Most of that support is coming from the young demographic. And so I think it's really important that if there is to be this party that's kicking off, because the formation is quite loose at the moment, if there is a proper party structure to this, it needs to be in alliance with the Green Party, and they need to look at specific seats and where they can target specific voters. But at the same time, the second part I want to talk about is the fact that it's completely reflective of what's going on right now within the Labour Party. And the fact of the matter is, you have new people making a party, and you have people not reforming the Labour Party simply because Labour do not care about the working class in the UK. They do not care about ending the austerity agenda, and they do only care about continuing neoliberalism. And so I think this speaks to people's issues, and I think this speaks to the foundation of what a left-wing party could look like in the UK, except for the Greens, purely because Labour aren't being asked to step up and genuinely look at the main issues we're facing in the UK at the moment.
I mean, we've got 104 Labour MPs who are sort of signalling to the leadership that there needs to be a change in direction. They've been saying we need to tackle people's material needs a bit more. Some people are saying it's the Mandani effect. Others are saying it's probably the rise of the Greens and this new left party. Do you think it's that? Because we could have told everyone that years ago, right? We could have said that when Keir Starmer became leader or during the general election. If the Labour Party doesn't radically and meaningfully go for people's material conditions, they're not going to get much support. And these 104 MPs have sort of ignored that up until now. So why do you think there's been a shift? Do you think it's because of this new party? Do you think it's because of Zach Polanski? Is it an amalgamation of all of it? Or do you think it's something completely separate?
I think the Labour Party cannot continue to do trickle-down economics and pretend like everyone's going to fall for it. I think that's the main issue here. Of course, you have different catalysts like Mamdani that had a massive success with his radical program. You have Zach Polanski stepping up and talking about eco-populism, of course, also focusing on working class concerns. But I think the main issue is just the Labour Party's complete inability to talk about which direction they're heading in, right? Because the further you move to the right, the more you alienate your voter base, and the more you move to the left, which they're not doing, doing, it seems like they'll get the whip removed. And so I think it speaks to the complete unwillingness of the Labour Party to talk about what they want and the reflection that Starmer is giving to the general population of the vote share that they got in the current election. And that is a more middle class voter base compared to a working class voter base. And they're trying to retain that vote. And so is Morgan McSweeney. But at the same time, it's not captivating the low propensity average voter. So going forward, everything that will aid to the Corbyn Zara Sultana party and whatever green lines they may have will be because of Labour.
I mean, do you think this poses a problem for Zach Polansky and the Greens? I know, obviously, Zach Polansky was kind of signalling that he was open to working with this new party, but the polls do show where this new Zara Sultana Corbyn party succeeds, it is mostly coming from the Greens. The Greens in a lot of polls have been showing 12, 30%, which is really impressive numbers. And even in some polls, beating the Liberal Democrats. As soon as you chuck in this other party, that they go straight down to 5%. So is this a problem? Maybe for the Green Party. And also, you can answer that question, but a separate question is, regardless of what you feel about the Green Party, is this good for us because the left is occupying more spaces? They've sort of transcended political boundaries within political parties.
Well, generally speaking, the left has gained a lot of popularity within the Green Party because the left has been politically homeless, right? That is why you had a massive surge in the Green Party, simply because there was no one representing economics that were focused on working people, that were talking about not scapegoating minorities such as immigrants and trans people. So a part of the Green Party's population increase has obviously been because there is no left foundation there. So I think it would, and polls have suggested that it would eat into the Green Party voter base, right? That being said, I think it's really, really important, as I mentioned before, and Polanski sort of hinted at this, to have a broader left alliance. And like you've talked about, like Polanski has also messaged, which I think he's personally doing a very good job at, even with the announcement of this party, he said that any sort of tackling or attempt to tackle reform is a good thing. And I think that fundamentally shows a shift from Starmer's Labour Politburo, which is, claiming that it's all about country before party, but in action, he's actually showing that it's party before country. So I think this is a sort of return to a left-wing movement within the UK. Of course, those take a couple of years to build back up, but like you said, I think it's regardless of eating into the Green vote or not, I think it's a good thing. And if the left strategizes well, like Polanski has hinted at, they could have a really strong comeback in the next election.
Good stuff. I agree with a lot of that. It remains to be seen. I think, for me personally, I like the idea of the left occupying multiple spaces, right? I don't think we should sort of stick to one political party, but I suppose the question is, political parties are a vehicle for change. And that's where people are sort of stuck. People are thinking, do we continue with Zach Polansky and the Green Party? And remember, he hasn't won yet. Or do we go with this new political party? I mean, if I inject my personal opinion, if I may, I think that we should still absolutely support Zach Polansky's leadership. I think it's important that he becomes Green Party leader. I don't want to see one party take all. I don't want to see this new Jeremy Corbyn party completely outflank, or not outflank, but take over the Greens. I want them to work together because I actually do think as well, in some areas, the Greens can pick up seats where maybe Jeremy Corbyn can't or this new party can't. Remember, there's a lot of people who really are enthusiastic about the environment. And I'm not saying that the party should be NIMBYs or Green Tories, but if those sorts of people want to vote for the Green Party, I say that's a damn good thing. So I personally think we should support left-wing efforts wherever we go. I really don't want people leaving the Green Party right now. That seems like a massive mistake, especially for a party that doesn't have a name yet. People should stay in the Greens, elect Zach Polansky and see where it goes. I suppose before I wrap up, actually, I want to ask you that. Do you think there's also a risk that lots of people might jump ship before Zach Polansky's leading the party? And also, what do you think of, because a lot of people aren't really talking about this now, because I think people are growing more confident that Zach Polansky is going to win. But what if Zach Polansky doesn't win and you've got a Green Party led by Adrian Ramsey and Ellie Chowns with this Jeremy Corbyn party? What do you make of that situation there?
So in the case that Adrian Ramsey and Ellie Chowns win the leadership bid, I think it would make more sense to still operate certain seats within the Green Party that they would get, because regardless of my complete disagreement with the way that Adrian Ramsey does his politics and Ellie, they have somewhat of a strong rural area membership, and that is usually the old legacy Green Party members and voters that are more focused on the environment, which by all means, and they sort of lean a bit socially progressive and economically left. So that would be a fine scenario. However, I think in that situation, there would need to be an overt focus on the new party to gain urban votes. What the polls are suggesting, though, is Polanski will likely win the leadership bid. And so in this scenario, I think it's extremely important to take a look at... sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think at the moment it's extremely important to take a look at where this alliance could lead people and not jumping ship prematurely. I mean, this party doesn't even have a name yet. This party doesn't have a proper policy yet. We're not exactly sure what it's going to look like. So I think it's important for where people ideologically are based to stay where they are, but focus on building grassroots community alliances and organizations in order to bring that left coalition going forward. Because ultimately, the winning party of the next election will be a party based on coalitions. I don't think Reform will win alone. So yeah, that's what I find is really important, is just focusing on staying where you are, but building that broad coalition overall.
Support independent media, support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you. Turn left.